Welcome to the LA Insider, the podcast that takes you inside the neighborhoods of Los Angeles through the voices of the people shaping them. I'm your host, Jason Anderson, a real estate agent in LA and your guide to the stories behind the city. Each week I sit down with local entrepreneurs, community leaders, and business owners to uncover what makes their corner of LA special, from hidden gems to big ideas and neighborhood-changing insights. We'll also explore the path to success that brought each of my guests to where they are today, their challenges, wins, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're exploring where to live, grow a business, or just want to understand the real LA, this show is for you. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the LA Insider. Today we're spotlighting another incredible person who's making a real impact in his industry. Let's dive into his story. Today we have our guest, Robbie Gennet, a multi-instrumental artist, songwriter, educator, and journalist who's released a 10-album original music series in 2025 and will publish his first book of lyrics in 2026. Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
So he's worked with artists including Lisa Marie Presley, Nick Lachey, Fuel, and Everclear. And he's jammed with musicians such as Mike McCready of Pearl Jam and Robbie Krieger of The Doors. Robbie's also a music historian and the creator of The Key of One, a self-teaching method published by Alfred Publishing. And he's taught at Musicians Institute in Hollywood.
Yes, sir.
So Robbie, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I do. What would you like to talk about first?
Well, let's start with your artistic journey. So how did you even get into music to begin with?
Like most people who wind up being a musician for life, I was a kid that was always drawn to music, listening to music, playing at the piano when I didn't know what I was doing. And it just always had me. And I learned that my mind was kind of set as what I call a phonogenic memory, where I remembered every song that I heard. So, early on when my mom heard me singing American Pie or Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, she was like, oh, most parents aren't used to kind of what to do if your child is musical. And I've been fortunate to help a lot of people with that path now that I'm grown up and an educator and whatnot. But at the time, I was just swept up with music, and everything that I could hear, see, and get into, I got into, and it's never left me.
And what was the first instrument you learned to play?
Piano. I mean, we had an old piano in the house, really old. Like my dad learned on it when he was a kid, kind of old. And if you played it too hard, the notes would pop off and you'd have to lift the lid. And it's one of those kind of pianos, but it was just there and available. I love acoustic pianos. Keyboards don't really give a kid soul, and that kind of the wood, the strings, the keys, it's a percussion instrument. And so unless you have hammers swinging, you don't have that percussion instrument. And it's a really important part of it to me.
And so you started out with piano. Did you take lessons, or did someone in your family already know how to play?
I took lessons from 6 till about 14 off and on with various home teachers, and I did not get traditional music education. So I quit lessons and embarked on a journey where I taught and learned myself. But I also sought out people to learn from and different mentors. And, again, I was picking things up, but I was also out playing in bands and playing with different musicians. So going to concerts, going to see people everywhere I could. And so a lot of it was just my own sense of curiosity that was leading me to learn more and want to do more. And then as I played piano with people like Elton John and Billy Joel being my, spirit animals, I soon opened up into, the world of jazz and funk and soul. And, I've always loved blues and boogie woogie. So it's been a big part of my playing.
And you started out with piano, and what other instruments do you play?
I played bass and acoustic guitar and electric guitar in my teens. And then I learned how to play drums and obviously singing. But I've since learned to arrange for strings and horns, which I learned at Musicians Institute. One of the great things is when you teach there, you have to take continuing education credits. So I took courses in things that I wanted to know about and do. So I did not come from a sheet music background. So I learned how to write for strings and horns. I took a course in Afro-Cuban drumming. I really just kind of went with what I was interested in, and it led me to great places.
Yeah. And how does a musician become a songwriter? How does that evolution take place?
if you're interested in songs and you're interested in the craft, I mean, I started writing songs in my probably teens, and they weren't great songs. Some of them were, trying to write like an Elton song or a Billy song or whatever. But I think once you learn your way around chords, there was a song that I wrote called Jones that at the time I felt like, wow, it's kind of a real song I wrote. And you evolve, but the way that you evolve is by constantly writing and constantly trying out different things, trying your hand at, coming in different ways. I wrote songs on guitar, wrote songs on piano. And I think as you evolve, you want to write better songs. Early on, one of the first studio recording things I ever did, the producer had said to me, I think your best songs are ahead of you. And at the time, I took great umbrage. I was like, I love these songs, but he was right. And what I realized is he should always be right, because even now I should be thinking that my next songs are going to be some of my best ever. So why plateau,
And how did you get to working with all of these big artists?
A lot of times I went to the NAMM show and I had been touring a little bit, doing some different things, but I started meeting people, writing for Keyboard Magazine. I started getting to go to shows and backstage and interviewing people and getting around. And ultimately, people have to know about you. And so if I get myself out there as a player and a person that, doesn't have drug or alcohol problems, shows up on time, does the work with a smile, easy to live with on a bus, easy in the studio, does quick work. And now I'm a Swiss Army knife. I'll come in, do the piano, the bass, the rhythm guitar, do the vocals, arrange the strings and the horns, some synths. So you kind of become a person that can be relied on and that they trust is going to serve their music to bring it to life. So when I worked with Nick Lachey, I tried out with a whole bunch of people on guitar and also on keyboards, but it took, time getting through that process. And when they hired me, that's when the real work started and the rehearsals at center staging. And I had to go in and really just get my parts to where nobody looked around at me and said, what are you doing, dude? And when everything kind of works and everything's going well, you're doing your job.
And you tried out in multiple areas, but which one did you end up getting hired for?
Well, with Nick Lachey, I played acoustic guitar, and I wanted to because I'd be standing next to him and singing harmonies, and it was a more visible spot. And also, I'm known as a piano player in many circles, but it's nice to be also known that I play guitar, also known that I play bass. I played bass on some touring with Fuel, which was great. So, everything that legitimizes what you do, it bulks up your resume. So somebody says, I want to hire that guy because he can do what I need him to do. And with a smile.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned that you've been writing songs. So would you say, so all of your songs, do you have to get them copyrighted and then you try to sell them, or how does that work?
The term selling songs is interesting. Licensing is really the term that we want to go with. I suppose there's sometimes where people used to write a song and then actually sell everything and their names off it and stuff. My songs are my own. That's my life's work. So none of my songs are for sale, but if anybody records a version of my song on their record and I get paid for it, that's amazing, So, if you write songs exclusively for other people and don't record them for yourself, that's one thing. I write songs for myself, and the songs that I write have a, wide variety of styles and whatnot. I can write for other people. I've written with other people. If somebody needed me to write something for a female singer to, whatever, I'm easy to do that kind of stuff. But my big push is to get out what I have to say for myself as an artist.
Okay. And can you tell us about your 10 album series and how did you put that together?
So I had a big loss. My house burned down in the Woolsey Fire. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
I thank you for that. But, it's one of those things that you have to survive. And after that, as we're recovering, we got into the pandemic lockdown and I suddenly had some time and I started writing and recording songs as I was rebuilding a studio. And I wasn't thinking about putting these songs out. I was just writing them for my own catharsis and expression and just playing with styles and bass lines and whatnot. And as I put them into albums for my own listening, I wasn't thinking I was going to have a plan to release them, anything of that nature, because the old school way of thinking is I need to be in a studio with a producer to be official. And then I read the Rick Rubin book, The Creative Act, last year. And at the end of that book, I said, I'm putting all of this music out, and then I'm going to put out more music, and then I'm going to put out more. And it's just, nobody's going to hear it on your hard drive, right? So Rick Rubin was really the impetus for me to just say, what am I waiting for? I'm not going to wait for there to be perfect versions of these. I like the way they sound. So I got them mixed, got everything mastered, and I got into this process. Each time I finish mixing a record, I'm into mixing the next one. And I learned a lot doing that, and I'm really happy with what I put out musically, lyrically, and artistically. And it really feels good to have it all accessible, audible, and behind me. And I've also been able to do some live shows of the music, which brought it to life in a way that me at home playing all the instruments can't when you're with a live drummer, a live bass player. And I've done these live shows staged in the studio. So I have well-recorded films, versions of these songs, because I'm a piano player and there's not many clubs with a piano, and to go out and do it on a keyboard, it's disingenuous. So I'm in this great studio called Revolver out in Westlake, and they have a great Steinway piano that just has great sound to it. I'm usually more of a Yamaha Kawai guy. I play Kawai at home, and I was endorsed by Kawai for a long time. But this Steinway, it feels like a Steinway that belongs in a bar room. It has that kind of bright, bouncy feel. It's not too formal, not too classical, not too snooty, and I can dig into it and have some fun.
And so your 10 album series, is that available like
everywhere you stream music?
Everywhere you stream. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. People could just download all 10 of them.
Yep.
One at a time.
Yeah, anything you'd like. And I'll probably put out a best of compilation in case people are a little overwhelmed. But it's a journey. If you listen to the first album and went through each one all the way to the 10th, you would hear the evolution. You'd hear synths coming in and different sounds and styles. And I think I said this early at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, I want my style to be really only labelable by my name. And that's what I feel like I've accomplished. I feel if you listen to it all, you can't say, well, he's just a rock guy or a funk guy or I look at guys like David Bowie, who was everything that he touched and was interested in, whether it was jungle and drum and bass in the 90s or the sound of Philadelphia, or Berlin or wherever he went, he was just interested in different sounds and changing it up. And so the sound of David Bowie and his music is just David Bowie music.
Yeah, it's a good way to
like that. I love that. That's, hey, why be part of a genre when you can be a genre?
Create your own. Can you tell us about your illustrated lyric book?
So that came about. There's a studio project that I'm going to be releasing next summer that I started working on before the fire. So it's been a labor to continue this in pieces, because this is in a studio with a great producer, Colin Liebig, that we've been working together. It's now over 7 years. And this is finally going to come out. So this lyric book is all the lyrics from this music that's not out yet. So this will come out hopefully in January. And I just signed a deal with Innovative Ink Publishing to put it out. And it was illustrated by a great artist named Scott Olson, who I've long been friendly with and love to work with. And he did all these incredible illustrations for it. So it's an art book. It's a lyric/poetry book. And people will sit with the words months before the music comes out and brings them to life. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before, but this certainly feels like a unique expression. And then people can sit with the meaning of the words without thinking of a melody. And then when each album brings the words to life, it'll be a unique experience, which I'm all about the experience.
Definitely. And are you still doing education?
Not formally right now. I don't have any students on my roster, and I'm not teaching at any schools, but certainly would guest lecture or teach somebody if I really felt that it was somebody I wanted to teach. I think I'm at a point now where, teaching someone that is not sure they want to be in it, I want to teach the kind of kids or adults that I was, in terms of can't stay away from it, has all this music coming out. They just need some structure and ideas and form, and also not to make them run the gauntlet of sheet music. I wrote some pieces on Huffington Post years ago about notation not being necessary for music education. And a lot of people took umbrage at that as well. Imagine that. But I'm not saying in any way notation is bad. I just want to have a conversation about music without it, so that we can discuss the physics and the movement of music without involving sheet music. Because if you're teaching music as a language, then you have to teach it differently than making people read sheet music first. So I love to work with people, but also just, putting out music and letting people hear it and, trying to inspire people. As a piano player, if I can inspire someone out there to say, man, I want to play some boogie woogie, or I want to do some blues like that, or wow, what's that thing that he's doing? Uh, Set the bar.
You might have maybe a mini tour coming up or anything to promote the music?
Not yet. I have 2 more shows that are going to come out promoting them. I'm basically broadcasting them on a platform called stageit.com,
Okay.
and it enables people to buy tickets ahead of time. It broadcasts on a specific date and time. And then each of the songs from that show, I have as individual pieces of content to release. So this week I'll be releasing the first of the songs from my second show. I've
Okay.
released songs from my first show. They're all out there on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on my Facebook,
Yeah.
easy to find. And I'm really proud of this music. And the second show that I did was with a full horn and string section. So these show me as an arranger as well as a composer.
Mhm.
And the music, I really love these songs. And it was so cool to actually hear the strings and the horns come in live. Just a rare pleasure that I hope won't be so rare in the future.
So how soon do you think those 2 shows will air?
Well, those 2 shows are out. The next ones, performing them and getting them edited and ready for that takes time, but they're all live performances. A lot of people nowadays with AI or, auto tune or whatever, I want these to be raw, and you can't punch in a note on a piano. So if I'm playing a bunch of piano, it's not like, oh, I got to fix that note. If there's a wrong note, there's a wrong note, but that's authentic and live. And in a world of fakery, authentic is the real role. So, I think these shows, whenever they come out, might be February and April. I'd like to separate them, but setting them up for the winter and spring is my goal. And then these studio albums, which I'm still holding a little bit of mystery around, should come out next summer and fall. And then hopefully I'll be able to do some shows of that music for the first time. And that's all orchestrated rock music. For lack of a better umbrella, orchestrated rock music. If you like ELO, you'll dig it.
Robert, sounds like you have a lot of exciting things coming up in the new year.
Always.
And you mentioned that you're currently living in the Santa Monica Mountains.
Yes.
It's an interesting part of Los Angeles. I haven't talked to anybody so far that lives out there.
Oh, I love it. I can access everything in LA.
Yeah.
And then leave town. Right around the corner, but I also feel like I'm nowhere,
Huh? And where is Mulholland Drive in relation to where you are?
So Mulholland runs, because there's Mulholland Highway and Mulholland Drive. So I live more off the Mulholland Highway part, which is out west. Mulholland Drive is more through the Hollywood Hills. For people that don't know, the Hollywood Hills are the tail of the Santa Monica Mountains. They just grow as they go west. It's actually one of the only east-west transverse ranges. So it's very unique, and it tails off into the Channel Islands. So it's really a unique ecosphere, and there's lots of little microclimate pockets, tons of great secret spots, lots of great beaches and hiking trails and places that I can go to be completely alone. I mean, like not a soul around. And I love that, in a city, a megalopolis like LA and the Valley, it's just hard to imagine you can go someplace and have solitude, but I'm surrounded by it.
So, and what kind of nature do you guys get up there? Is there a lot of life?
We see things like coyotes, bobcats, mountain lions, not often mountain lions. There was a bobcat sighting a day or 2 ago, not far from here. So, owls, hawks, all the kind of cool stuff that lives out here, lizards. But it really depends. I mean, things, if you live in nature, nature will come to you. But if you go out to remote spots, you have a much better chance of seeing things kind of wandering around. And in the ocean, I see dolphins and seals all the time, but not sharks, which is great.
And since you're a little bit remote, where do you guys go for your shopping?
Like in Agora Hills and places. I mean, I'm within 10 minutes of everything I need, but the minute you kind of drive up into the mountains, you go off radar. So, it's not like being an hour out of town.
Yeah.
And oftentimes if you're out doing an errand over here, as you're coming back, I got to stop at the store before I go home,
So you would definitely recommend it for people who like nature, want solitude, but
Yeah.
still be near the city.
I mean, I had dark nights, quiet nights. I can't imagine sleeping in a place where it's just constant city lights around you all the time. I lived in Highland Park when I first moved out here, and that was a great, cool experience. They were building the Gold Line at the time, so I got to ride that for the first time,
Yes.
And it's great being in a walkable area of town, but here I walk 2 blocks and I'm walking out in the woods and
Yeah.
forest bathing. I wouldn't trade this for anything. I don't want to see it overrun with people and development, but there's a lot of protected lands here, and it's great. I moved back to the same spot where my house burned down, and now there's no big trees around us, so we don't have the same kind of danger that we did, and everything is what they call WUI compliant, wildlife urban interface. So
Mhm.
everything on the outside has to be as non-flammable as possible. And we have all new water, sewer, gas, electric lines, because after the fire, the streets kind of melted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, everything is really good right now.
And how many years ago was that, Woolsey?
7, I think.
7. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're kind of foreshadowing for what the other areas, Altadena and Palisades, will see in 6 years from now.
But it's all depending on, how quickly you can get permitting. Every different area has its own issues. Really, it really depends. I mean, there's people in communities that also got burned out by the Woolsey Fire that took years longer to get back because they were in a environmentally sensitive area or whatever it was. A lot of the places down along Malibu that burned, they had septic systems and stuff. And now to rebuild, you have to put in a new septic system with a new retaining wall that protects it from the ocean. And just to put in what's going to be under your house is going to be hugely expensive.
Yeah.
So it really all depends. Everything, as you know, in LA, microclimates, little neighborhoods, little pockets, everything's could be different just from here to there. But I also like going west because from here I can be in Ventura, Santa Barbara, Ojai. I can take off and also surf all the breaks up there, which is good in the winter.
Surfers always looking for how to tie surfing into everything.
Oh man, I mean waves. I can be toes in the sand in 15 minutes watching whales off Zuma Beach. It's great.
Yeah, sounds like an amazing location.
I love it. Don't anybody move here. But yeah, come visit.
For sure. So thank you, Robbie Gennet, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
For those of you watching, and if you enjoyed the conversation, we want more likes and subscribe. So please hit subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment on what you saw today. It helps the show to grow. And I'm Jason, and I'll see you next time on the LA Insider.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the LA Insider. I hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look into the people and neighborhoods that make Los Angeles so dynamic. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves LA just as much as you do. I'm Jason, and I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest and more stories from the heart of the city. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring LA.